Hello there, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 174. And this time out, we are in Motown at Tiger Stadium for game number 61 of the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament. This game has the current Kings, the 1961 Tigers, taking on the 1950 Phillies, the Whiz Kids. Before we get to the starting lineups, let's take a look at the status of the Hill. Tigers got to 500 with that win over the Reds in Game 60. They're at 6-6. The Phillies, 5-6, have been quite disappointing as of late. They started this tournament at 4-1 and have gone 1-5 since then. They're hoping to right the ship in this game and get this tournament to Shibe Park in Philly. And we got the 9-win 1954 Cleveland Indians on deck with the 1960 Pirates in the hole. All right, with that out of the way, let's get to the starting lineups for game number 61. First, for the visiting 1950 Philadelphia Phillies, leading off at first base, Eddie Waitkus. Batting second, center field, Richie Ashburn. Batting third in left field, Dick Sisler. Del Ennis bats fourth, he's in right. Willie Jones bats fifth, he's at third base. Batting sixth is shortstop Granny Hamner. Batting seventh, catcher Andy Semenick. Batting eighth, Mike Goliot, he's at second base. And on the mound and batting ninth is Bob Miller. In 1950, he was 11-6 with a 3.57 ERA, 174 innings pitched. He's a number 2 hitting pitcher, so he gets that card inserted into the lineup for him. Now for the current Kings, the 1961 Detroit Tigers, batting first. Leading off at second base is Jake Wood. Batting second, center fielder Bill Bruton. Batting third in right field is Al Kaline. Batting fourth in left field, Rocky Colavito. Batting fifth, first baseman Norm Cash. Batting sixth at third base, Steve Boros. Batting seventh, behind the plate, is Dick Brown. Batting eighth, shortstop Chico Fernandez. And on the mound and batting ninth is Jim Bunning. In 1961, he was 17-11 with a 3.19 ERA, 268 innings pitched. He is a number 1 hitting pitcher, so he'll get that card inserted into the lineup for him. Excuse me, and we are ready to get underway. So Waitkus steps into the batter's box. Bunning has finished his warm-up tosses. And here's the first pitch. That's a ground ball to second baseman Jake Wood over to Norm Cash. And they get Waitkus for the first out. That brings up Richie Ashburn, Phillies center fielder. Here's the pitch from Bunning. And that's a 1-out single for Whitey. Hits that one right up the middle, makes the turn, but he's going to hold it first. So a man on first with 1 out for Dick Sisler, Phillies left fielder. Pitch from Bunning. And that's a strikeout, out number 2. First strikeout for Bunning. 2 away, man on first. And the cleanup batter, right fielder Del Ennis. Pitch from Bunning. It's a ground ball to short. And that's Fernandez over to Cash for the third out, but Ennis pulls up on that one as he crosses first base. Gonna get the trainer out to take a look at him. And Ennis is going to have to leave this game. And looks like he's going to be out for this game and one more following this one. So the Phillies are going to have to make a change. All right. So Del Ennis is going to have to leave. So he's unavailable. And let's see. Dick Whitman's going to take his place and bat in the cleanup spot. And Whitman is actually a little bit better defensively than Ennis, so he's a 2. But that's going to do it for the Phillies here in the top of the first. No runs on 1 hit, 1 man left on base, and after 1/2 inning, it's the Phillies nothing, and the Tigers coming to bat. Jim Bunning picks up his first fatigue point. Not a good start for the Phillies, losing Ennis. If you haven't watched some of my earlier games, because of the 20-man rosters in these basic sets, I've adjusted the injuries. No one will be out more than 3 games. Unlike, the injury chart here, you could be out for 15 or more. 15, I guess, is the most. All right, anyway. Leading off for the Tigers here in the bottom of the first is Jake Wood. Here's the pitch from Bob Miller. It's a ground ball back to Miller. He fields that cleanly and tosses over to Eddie Waitkus for the first out. There's one away here in the bottom of the first. That brings up center fielder Bill Bruton. That's a fly ball to right field. And Whitman's under that, makes the catch. 2 away. All right, so 2 outs, nobody on for Detroit. Brings up right fielder Al Kaline. Pitch from Miller. Ground ball to second baseman Mike Oliot. Over to Eddie Waitkus. 4-3 put out, and the Tigers go 1-2-3. No runs, no hits, no one left on, and with 1 inning in the books, we are tied at 0. Bob Miller picks up a fatigue point. And we go to the top of the second. Bunning's going to face Willie Jones, Granny Hamner, and Mike Seminick. Pitch from Bunning. It's a ground ball to short. Fernandez over to Cash, and there's 1 away. Brings up shortstop Grant Hamner. Pitch from Bunning. Fly ball to center field, and that sends Bruton back to near the track where he makes the catch, and there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on for Andy Seminick. I said Mike Seminick before, didn't I? Don't ask me why. So Seminick steps into the batter's box. Here's the pitch from Bunning. That's a ground ball to Chico Fernandez at short. Once again, over to Norm Cash for the 6-3 putout. And the Phillies go 1-2-3 in the top of the second. No runs, no hits, no one left on. And after 1.5, we remain scoreless. Bunning gets his second fatigue point. And we go to the bottom of the second. Leading off for the Tigers is Rocky Colavito. Here's the pitch from Miller. And this is a drive to deep center field, and that's sending Whitey Ashburn back to the track, to the wall. It's way up, out of here, gone. Another home run for Rocky Colavito. That one got out of here in a hurry. And the Tigers lead 1-0. Bob Miller picks up another fatigue point. That brings up Norm Cash. Detroit with a 1-0 lead. Nobody out here in the bottom of the second. Here's the pitch. It's catcher's card X. Andy Seminick is a 1, and we roll a 19. And Norm Cash gets under that. It's drifting into foul territory. Seminick's under it, makes the catch for the first out. So 1 out, nobody on. Third baseman Steve Boros. And that's a single. into left field. And we got Boros on first with 1 out. Catcher Dick Brown is up next. Here's the pitch from Miller. That's another single to shallow center. Boros is going to hold at second. So his runners on first and second with 1 out. The Tigers leading 1-0, and shortstop Chico Fernandez comes to the plate. And that's lined right at second baseman Mike Goliot. Makes the stab, tries to get Boros at second, but he gets back in time for the second out. That was a run-saving catch by Goliot. And that brings up the pitcher, Jim Bunning. It's a pitch from Miller. It's a ground ball to first base, but it's going to be an X check for Eddie Wakus. He's a 1, and we roll a 17. Wakus makes a diving stop, tosses to Miller covering the bag for the 3-1 putout to end the inning. The Tigers do get a run on Rocky Colavito's home run. 1 run on 3 hits, 2 runners left on. And after 2 innings, it is the Tigers 1, the Phillies 0. Bob Miller picks up his 3rd fatigue point for completion of the inning. We go to the top of the 3rd. Leading off for the Phils will be Mike Goliot. Pitch from Bunning. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Bunning. And there's 1 away here. The top of the 3rd. And that brings up Bob Miller. Pitch from Bunning. And that's another strikeout. 2 outs, 3rd strikeout for Jim Bunning. And we go back to the top of the order for the Phillies. And Eddie Wakus. Wakus is 0 for 1. Here's the pitch from Bunning. And he strikes out the side. Gets Wakus looking for his 4th strikeout. No runs, no hits. No one left on base as the Phillies go 1-2-3. And after 2.5, it's the Tigers 1, Phillies 0. Bunning picks up fatigue point number 3. And we are back to the top of the order for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 3rd. Jake Wood leads things off. He's 0 for 1. That's a fly ball to center field. Richie Ashburn's under that, makes the catch, and there is 1 out. Bill Bruton is up next. Bruton's 0 for 1. Pitch for Miller. And that's a single right up the middle for Bill Bruton. Ashburn gets the ball back into the infield quickly, and Bruton holds there at first base. So there's a man on first with 1 out, and Al Kaline. Pitch from Miller. Kaline gets under this one. It's going to stay in the infield. And Willie Jones is calling everyone off. Makes the catch in fair territory near the 3rd base bag for the 2nd out. So there's 2 outs, man on first. And Rocky Colavito, who went deep to deep center field here at Tiger Stadium. His first time up. Here's the pitch from Miller. And that's a 2-out single. Colavito's 2 for 2. Let's check Billy Bruton's running. It's a 1-16 with 2 outs. It makes him 1-18. He's going to 3rd, and he is in there safe. So it's runners on the corners with 2 outs, and Norm Cash. Cash is 0 for 1, having fouled out his first time up. Here's the pitch from Miller. It's a ground ball to short, and that's going to be Hamner over to Wakus for the 3rd out. Miller gets out of the jam. No runs on 2 hits. And 2 left on. After 3 innings complete, it's Tigers 1, Phillies nothing. Bob Miller gets his 4th fatigue point. And we go to the top of the 4th. Leading things off for the Phillies will be Richie Ashburn. Here's the pitch. It's a fly ball to right field. It's going to be an X check for Al Kaline. He's a 1. We roll a 5. Yeah, Kaline makes a leaping catch out there to rob Ashburn of extra bases. And there's 1 away. Brings up Dick Sisler. Sisler is 0 for 1. Struck out his first time up. Pitch from Bunning. And that's a 1-out single for Sisler. Makes the turn. But he's going to hold at first base. So the tying run is on. And right fielder Dick Whitman. Pitch from Bunning. And that's another strikeout. Strikeout number 5. Gets Whitman looking, and there are 2 away. 5 strikeouts for Bunning here in the top of the 4th. So man on first with 2 outs, and Willie Jones. Pitch from Bunning. It's a ground ball to third base. And Steve Boros over to Norm Cash. 5-3 putout ends the inning. Phillies no runs on 1 hit. 1 man left on. After 3.5, it's Tigers 1, Phillies nothing. Bunning gets fatigue point number 4. Bob Miller out here for the bottom of the 4th. It's going to be Steve Boros, Dick Brown, and Chico Fernandez. And then Bunning, if anyone gets on base. Here's the pitch to Boros. That's a leadoff single for Steve into left field. And he's there on first. Man on first, nobody out. Catcher Dick Brown. Brown singled his first time up. He's 1 for 1. Here's the pitch. Low and outside. And Brown trots down to first base. That allows Boros to move up to second. So runners on first and second with no one out. And Chico Fernandez. Fernandez is 0 for 1. Pitch from Bob Miller. It's a ground ball to second base. Only play for Goliath is to go to Wakis at first. They get Fernandez on the putout. The runners get to move up, so Boros goes to third. Brown goes to second. So it's runners on second and third with 1 out. And Jim Bunning. Pitch to Bunning. And Bunning slaps that one into right field. That's going to score 2 runs. Let me double check that. Yes, indeed. So 1-out single for Jim Bunning. Drives in 2. As Brown slides in the home. And it's now 3-0. So Miller picks up fatigue points 5 and 6. And there is some activity in the Phillies bullpen, and it looks like Bubba Church is taking his jacket off and is going to start warming up. Because it's now 3-0. And only 1 out. So we're back to the top of the order. Jim Bunning helping himself out there with that 2 RBI single. And we're back to Jake Wood. Pitch from Miller. And that is a fly ball to left field that Dick Sisler is under. He makes the catch. And Bunning's going to hold at first. And there are now 2 away. So 2 outs, man on first, and Bill Bruton. Bruton's 1 for 2. Here's the pitch. And Bruton gets a hold of that one, goes down the left field line. Sisler gets to it quickly. Bunning's going to move into third. And Bruton holds up at first base. So now there's runners on the corners with 2 outs. And Al Kaline. Pitch for Miller. Low and outside, and the bases are now loaded as Kaline trots down to first. Bruton to second. And Bunning is on third, so the bases are loaded with 2 outs. And Rocky Colavito, who's 2 for 2 with the home run. Here's the pitch. It's a catcher's card X, and Andy Semenick is a 1. We roll a 16. And that is a wild pitch. Gets by Semenick. Bunning comes in to score. Bruton to third. Kaline to second. And the next pitch to Colavito is popped in foul territory. Semenick's under that. Makes the catch for the 3rd out. The Tigers pick up 3 more runs on 3 hits. 2 men left on base. And after 4 complete, it's Tigers 4, Phillies nothing. Miller gets his 7th fatigue point. And Bunning's got a 4-run cushion as he comes out here for the top of the 5th. It's going to be Hamner, Andy Semenick, and Mike Goliot for the Phillies here in the top of the 5th. Pitch from Bunning. It's a fly ball to right field. Going to be an X check for Al Kaline, who's a 1. We roll a 5. And Kaline makes a nice catch out there for the 1st out. So, 1 out, nobody on for Andy Semenick. Here's the pitch. Man, that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 6 for Jim Bunning, and there are 2 away here in the top of the 5th. 2 outs, nobody on for Mike Goliot. Here's the pitch. And it's a ground ball to shortstop Chico Fernandez over to Norm Cash. And the Phillies go 1-2-3 in the top of the 5th. No runs, no hits, no one left on. And after 4.5, it's the Tigers 4 and the Phillies nothing. And Jim Bunning picks up fatigue point number 5. And the Phillies are going to make a pitching change. And actually, they're going to make a double switch here. I think. Yes. All right, so Jimmy Bloodworth is going to come in, bat in the 9th spot. He's a 4. He gets a 3 for second base. So he's going to bat in the 9th spot, and now pitching for the Phillies, and he'll be batting in the 8th spot, is Bubba Church. In 1950, he was 8-6 with a 2.73 ERA, 142 innings pitched. He's in number 2 hitting pitcher, so we'll keep that card in the lineup. I just got to move the lineup around a little bit. So Bob Miller's day is done. Bubba Church is the new pitcher. Well, let me fix this lineup. So leading off will be Jimmy Bloodsworth, and Mike Goliot's gonna leave the game. Bloodsworth will lead off the top of the 6th. Okay, so we got to put Bubba Church here in the 8th spot. Okay, so he's the new pitcher for the Phillies, and he's going to face Norm Cash as his first batter here in the bottom of the 5th, with the Tigers leading 4-0. Pitch from Bubba. And that is a line out right to Jimmy Bloodworth at second base. So right away he gets involved in the game, and there's one away. Brings up Steve Boros. Boros is 2 for 2 with a run scored. Here's the pitch. Make that 3 for 3 because he hits one in the shallow center field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. So he's on first with 1 out. And catcher Dick Brown. Dick Brown's 1 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Here's the pitch. Man, that's a strikeout. For out number 2. First strikeout for Church and also for the Phillies pitchers. So there's 2 outs with the man on first and Chico Fernandez. Pitch from Church. And another line drive, but right at Jimmy Bloodsworth. And he makes 2 good defensive plays here in the bottom of the 6th. So no runs on 1 hit. 1 man left on. And 5 are in the books. And it's the Pirates 4, Phillies nothing. Bubba Church gets his first fatigue point. And leading off for the Phillies here in the top of the 6th will be the new second baseman, Jimmy Bloodworth. I said Bloodsworth before, but it's Bloodworth. Here's the pitch from Bunning. That's a ground ball back to Bunning. He jogs towards first base, tosses underhand to Norm Cash, and there is 1 out. Back to the top of the order for the Phils, and Eddie Waitkus. Waitkus is 0 for 2. Here's the pitch. Low and outside, and first walk issued by Bunning, I believe. Yes, it is. So Waitkus trots down to first base. And there's a man on first with 1 out. Whitey Ashburn comes to the plate. Ashburn is 1 for 2. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to third base, but it's going to be an X check. Steve Boros is a 4, and we roll a 4. And that one gets by Boros, goes into left field. Ashburn slides into second. Waitkus is going to hold up at third. And it's second and third for the Phillies with 1 out. 2 runners in scoring position as they trail 4-1. Excuse me, 4-0. And next up is Dick Sisler. Here's the pitch from Bunning. And that is going to score a run. As Sisler singles up the middle, bringing in Waitkus. Ashburn moves to third. It's runners on the corners now. The Phillies are on the board. Bunning picks up fatigue point number 6. So it's now 4-1. Runners on the corners with 1 out. And Dick Whitman, who's in for the injured Del Ennis, comes to the plate. Pitch from Bunning. And that's a line drive to shortstop Chico Fernandez, who stabs at that one and makes the catch. And the toss to first base to try to get Sisler is not in time. So it's still runners on the corners for the Phillies. Now there's 2 outs. And Granny Hamner. Pitch. This is trouble. Jones hits one into left field. It's off the wall. Colavito's chasing it down. As it rolls towards the infield, Jones is going to slide into second with a double. Sisler moves to third, and Ashburn scores, and it's now 4-2. Bunning picks up fatigue point number 7. So it's 4-2. 2 outs, runners on second and third for the Phillies, and Grant Hamner comes to the plate. Pitch from Bunning, trying to get out of this jam. It's a ground ball to shortstop Fernandez over to Norm Cash, and the bleeding is stopped. But not before the Phillies pick up 2 runs on three hits. With 2 men left on base, and after 5.5, it's the Tigers 4 and the Phillies 2. And Bunning picks up another fatigue point. He is at 8 all of a sudden. And he's going to lead off here in the bottom of the 6th. He's staying in the game for now. And here's the pitch from Church. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Church. And there's one away here in the bottom of the 6th. Back to the top of the order for the Tigers. And second baseman Jake Wood. Pitch from Church. And Jake Wood gets a hold of this one into left field, off the wall. Sisler's trying to run it down. Wood rounds second, slides into third with a 1-out triple. The Tigers are in business. So there's a man on third with 1 out. The Phillies trail 4-2. They're going to bring the infield in here. Here's the pitch from Church. It's a ground ball to first base. And they get Wood going home on a 1-2 putout. That allows Bruton to reach first on a fielder's choice. So now there's 2 away and a man on first. Nice defense by the Phillies. And the infield is going back to normal depth. Man on first, 2 outs, Al Kaline. Here's the pitch. Low and outside, and that's a walk. So Bruton moves up to second. Kaline trots down to first. Runners on first and second with 2 outs, and the always dangerous Rocky Colavito comes to the plate. Here's the pitch from Church. Colavito gets under this one. It's going to stay in the infield. And Eddie Wakis is under that, waving everyone else off, makes the catch. And that's it for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 6th. No runs on 1 hit. 2 men left on. And with 6 innings complete, it's the Tigers 4 and the Phillies 2. Bubba Church gets fatigue point number 2 for him. And Bunning, who's at 8 after that rough top of the 5th, or excuse me, top of the 6th, is out there for now. Although the Tigers are warming up Paul Foytak. He's getting ready in case Bunning gets into trouble. Right now he's going to face Andy Semenick, Mike Goliot, and the pitching spot for the Phillies. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 7 for Bunning. And there's 1 away. Excuse me, I said the pitcher spot was up third. It's up now, and that is going to be the day for Bubba Church. Or wait a minute. No. With the injury and... Nope, we are going to pull him. We're going to pull Bubba Church. Stan Lapata is going to pinch hit for Church here in the 8 hole. Okay, and warming up for the Phillies is Ken Heinzelman. So Lapata's going to bat here with 1 out. And the pitch from Bunning. Slowing outside, and Lapata draws the walk. There's a man on first with 1 out. And that brings up Jimmy Bloodworth, second baseman. Pitch from Bunning. So pop-up's going to stay in the infield. And Steve Boros is under that, makes the catch for the second out. So 2 outs, man on first. Back to the top of the order for the Phillies. And Eddie Waitkus. Pitch from Bunning. It's a ground ball back to Bunning. It's an X check. He's a 2. We roll a 14. Bunning makes a nice play. Fires over to Norm Cash for the 3rd out. So the Phillies threaten. No runs on no hits. 1 man left on. And as we stretch them, it's the Tigers 4 and the Phillies 2. Bunning picks up fatigue point number 9. And I'm going to have a little iced tea. All right. New Phillies pitcher is Ken Heinzelman. In 1950, Heinzelman was 3-9 with a 4.10 ERA, 125 innings pitched. And the first batter he's going to face is Norm Cash. All right. Bottom of the 7th. Tigers lead 4-2. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to first base. It's the next check for Eddie Waitkus. He's a 1. We roll a 20. And we got to roll again. Roll a 9. That one gets by Waitkus. And it's an uncharacteristic error for Eddie. First error of the game for the Phillies. First error of the game. And that allows Cash to reach on the E3. So he's at first base, nobody out. Third baseman Steve Boros is next. Tigers lead 4-2. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to third baseman Willie Jones, over to Jimmy Bloodworth and to Eddie Waitkus for the 5-4-3 double play. Nice defense by the Phils. There's 2 outs, nobody on. And catcher Dick Brown. Pitch from Heinzelman. Fly ball to right field. And Whitman's under that, makes the catch. The Tigers go 1-2-3 here in the bottom of the 7th. No runs, no hits, no one left on. 7 complete. It's Tigers 4, Phillies 2. Heinzelman gets his first fatigue point. Bunning, who's at 9, with Paul Foytak ready if needed. Bunning comes out here for the top of the 8th. First batter is going to be Richie Ashburn. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to third base. It's going to be an X check for Steve Boros, who's a 4. And we're probably going to be rolling again. No, I stand corrected. Did I say he is a 4? Yes, he is. That is a 2-base error. So that one gets by Boros, and the Phillies are in business. Ashburn gets the second on the E5. The tying run's going to come to the plate here. And why am I putting that there? It doesn't belong there. E5. So Ashburn's on second, nobody out, and Dick Sisler. Pitch from Bunning. It's a ground ball to shortstop, and it's another X check. And Fernandez is a 3. And we roll a 13. And another error. Back-to-back errors for the Tigers. That's going to allow Ashburn to move to third. Sisler, one base error, E6, and it's runners on the corners with nobody out. And Dick Whitman. Tigers are bringing the infield in, and they're also getting Terry Fox warming up here as the situation has changed. Bunning's going to stay out here for right now, so it's runners on the corners, nobody out. Phillies trail 4-2 here in the top of the 8th. Pitch from Bunning. And Whitman gets under this. It's going to stay in the infield. Over at first base, Norm Cash makes the catch. And there's one away. So one out. Runners still on the corners. Detroit still has the infield in, and Willie Jones, here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to third base, and it's another X check for Boros. And his 4 rating and a 16, and this sounds like trouble. That's a 1 base error, another error. 3 errors in this inning by the Pirates, 2 of them by Steve Boros. Jones is going to reach on the E5. Sisler goes to second, and Ashburn scores. And it's now 4-3. And Bunning gets his 10th fatigue point. And there's still runners on the corners. And there's still only one out. And Grant Hamner's coming to the plate. And that's going to be it for Jim Bunning. Terry Fox is coming in. Try to get a 5-out save here. And in 1961, he was, Terry Fox that is, was 5-2 with a 1.42 ERA. 57 innings pitched. And he's got runners on the corners with 1 out. And Granny Hamner at the plate. Here's the pitch. And Hamner gets underneath this one. It's going to stay in the infield. Fernandez is underneath it, makes the catch for the 2nd out. So 2 outs, runners on the corners. Defense is going to go, the infield that is going to go back to normal depth. And Fox pitches to Andy Semenick. It's low and outside, and that's going to load the bases up, or low and inside. And that's going to load them up. So bases are loaded. 2 outs. And Ken Heitzelman's spot is coming up. Phillies have to substitute for him. And it's going to be Bill Nicholson, who's going to pinch hit. That's it. Last bench player for the Phillies. And Jim Constanti is going to warm up for the Phils. He'll be ready to go here. But Nicholson's going to bat for Heintzelman, so his day is done. And there's 2 outs. Bases loaded. And Fox to Nicholson. This could be trouble. It's a fly ball to deep left field. And Colavito makes the catch jumping up at the wall. And they Rob Nicholson of a extra base hit there. And Fox gets out of the jam. The Phillies do pick up 1 run on no hits. 2 men left. 7.5 complete. It's the Tigers 4 and the Phillies 3. And Terry Fox gets his first fatigue point. All right, so as we said, Heinzelman's day is done. New pitcher for the Phillies is Jim Constanti. In 1950, he was 16-7 with a 2.66 ERA. 152 innings of work. And it is going to be Fernandez, the pitcher's spot, and the top of the order. So here's the pitch to Fernandez. It's a ground ball to short. Whoops. And that's Hamner to Wakis, excuse me, and there's 1 out. So 1 out. And Terry Fox is going to bat. He's a number 2 hitting pitcher, so I just flipped that card over. Constanti delivers. And how about this? 1 out single for Terry Fox. So he's on first with 1 out. Back to the top of the order, Jake Wood. Here's the pitch. So 1 out single. Now runners on first and second with 1 out. Bill Bruton comes to the plate. Pitch from Constanti. It's a ground ball to shortstop. It's the next check for Granny Hamner. He's a 2. Roll 14. Uh-oh. But Hamner makes a nice play, and it's going to be a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. Hamner to Bloodworth, and then to Wakis. 6-4-3 double play. Crushes any hopes of any insurance runs for the Tigers, so it's no runs on 1 hit. 2 men left. And we go to the top of the 9th with the Tigers leading 4-3. Constanti gets his first fatigue point. Terry Fox trying to get the save on this one. It's going to be Jimmy Bloodworth, Eddie Wakis, Richie Ashburn for the Phillies here in the top of the 9th. They trail by 1. Pitch from Fox. And that is a line drive to second baseman Jake Wood. And there's 1 away. Brings up Eddie Wakis. Wakis he's 0 for 4. Or 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Here's the pitch. And that's a 1 out single. So the tying run is on base. Man on first, 1 out. Richie Ashburn, who is 2 for 4. Here's the pitch. Catcher's card X. And Dick Brown is a 3. Roll a 13. And Ashburn gets underneath that one. It's drifting over to the Phillies dugout where Brown makes the catch for the 2nd out. So the Phillies are down to their final out. The man on first. They trail by 1 run, 4-3. And it's Dick Sisler. And here's the pitch for Terry Fox. Man, that's a strikeout to end this one. This one was a nail biter, but the Terry Fox and the Tigers hold off the Phils and win this one 4-3. Let's get some totals first for the Phillies. 3 runs on 5 hits. Committed 1 error. And some of those runs, of course, were caused by the 3 errors that the Tigers had. And they had 4 runs on 11 hits. But the 3 errors almost cost them the game. The win goes to Jim Bunning. Terry Fox with the save, and the loss to Bob Miller. So the Tigers get to 7-6, and the Phillies lose another one and tumble down to the bottom of the hill, and will have to wait their turn again. So the Tigers go to 7-6 and will face off against the 9-win 54 Indians in game number 62 of this Oldtimer Kings tournament. If you hung out with me, I appreciate it, and I'll be back again in the near future with another video, and until then, take care.